Hello and thanks for joining us. I am joined today by Ian McCullough, Ben Kosky, and QPR legend Kevin Gallen. But you know that already. We've done enough of these by now. A lot of football to chat about, lads. Since we last spoke, we've had quite a few games. I think if we'd have had this chat pre-Barnsley, it would have been overwhelmingly positive. And obviously, it's still going to be a positive chat because QPR have made a really, really solid start to the season. But Kev, I know you were at the game Saturday. I mean, for that first half an hour, must be quite concerned about that. I mean, QPR couldn't get near Barnsley. Obviously, had to make a double sub just to get the team into the game. I mean, how sort of concerned are you by that?
Well, they had a tough game. QPR had a tough game away at Middlesbrough. 10 men. Wednesday, got to travel back early morning or into the hours. So, you know, there's going to be a little bit of fatigue, and the first 30 minutes wasn't great. I thought Barnsley were very good, though. You have to give them some credit. They got their tactics spot on. The manager, Warburton, made a couple of subs, changed it a little bit. I think he might have got it wrong with his starting lineup, but we don't know the ins and outs of how players are feeling regarding maybe niggles and injuries. So he made those changes from the team. I wasn't quite concerned. I just thought Barnsley had their tactics spot on. QPR didn't. I mean, the problem was they pressed QPR really. From what I thought of the game, they pressed QPR really high, and they were excellent at it. And they got their tactics spot on. And when a team presses you really high, the way to do it, and their back four was so far up the pitch, you've got to then try and turn them round. And this is not going to hear that on Charlie Austin, but Charlie Austin hasn't got the legs to run in behind, and their centre halves knew that, so they can play really high up the pitch. And if you haven't got a runner to go and stretch them, they're going to continue play high up the pitch. Which means their midfielders can go and press early, their strikers can go and press early, and we didn't have an out ball to put the ball in behind, to turn them round and to make them go a little bit deeper. So that was, Lyndon Dykes wasn't, I don't know, he was ill or whatever was wrong with him.
Yeah, he had like he had that chest infection, Warburton said after that. He had it against Middlesbrough, but he was all right, and then it got worse and couldn't play. So
for that sort of situation, you need a runner and you need a quick player, and that's what I will think. We've got, what's it now, the 23rd. We've got 8 days, and I would not be surprised if they go and try and get a striker with pace who can run in behind, because these games will come up again, and opposition teams will see that if we do play similar sides like we did on Saturday, that they will play a high line. They will other teams will play a high line, press us really high, and we haven't got a runner to go in behind. So I'll be very surprised if we don't get a fast running in behind striker.
Hold that thought, because we're going to come on to that very, very, very soon.
But we come back good, strong. You know, kept going. The crowd were very good. They didn't really get on. I only heard a couple of boos, but.
Are you, Kev?
No, it wasn't me. I did chuckle when I heard it. I went, "Oh, it was great." It's the first game we've been back from. And after half an hour, I heard boo, a couple of times going boo, and I went, "Oh, it's great to be back." Great to be back at Rangers. So that did give me a little chuckle. So now they come back really well. The substitutions worked well, because I think Stefan Johansson was playing the holding role where Dazelle was a little bit forward. And to get the best out of Stefan Johansson, you sort of got to let him go a little bit forward, and you put Don Ball as a sort of a steadying ship and protecting the back four, and let Stefan Johansson go and do what he does well, and that is create opportunities and create moves for QPR to try and score some goals. So those substitutions are worked well in the end, but you know, it's the manager's decision to stick to play that team at the start, and we probably would have now, looking back. But good point in the end, because it feels like a win when you're 2-0 down. I've been in those situations when you come back, you're 2-0 down, you score in the last couple of minutes, and it feels like a win. And Barnsley, even though they had a terrific game, which made an entertaining game, they'll probably be really disappointed after being 2-0 up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think is probably the last we've probably seen of the George Thomas wing-back experiment. You know, I don't think that went too well at all. But saying that, I did feel a bit bad for Andre Dizelle and George Thomas. I think it's hard, especially for a young player, to get substituted off like that. But, you know, just sort of 5 minutes prior to making those subs, Thomas played it to Dizelle and then played himself right into trouble, gave the ball away, and they almost had a third. So it wasn't all that surprising to see them go off. But enough of the negativity. You know, QPR did come back, fought back excellently, as we also saw against Middlesbrough. Ended up getting a point, and ended up getting 3 against Middlesbrough. So it has been a really positive start to the season. 8 points from 4 games. I mean, who stood out for you, Kev, so far from this great start to the season?
Well, obviously, Dickie's had a great start to the season, hasn't he? Not only has he played well defensively, the majority of the games was he was okay. I thought he played well, not as good as he has done, but he's come and knocked in a few goals as well. So he's had a great start to the season. Who else? I think they've all. I can't really sing. I think everyone's really had a really good start to the season, and especially the away form has been obviously 2 wins out of 2, and then you've got the Leyton Orient game as well in the cup, so that's 3 out of 3. So the away performances, you know, the Middlesbrough game was absolutely a great game, especially when you're 2-1 down and you're on 10 men. So I'm not really. Dickie's probably the outstanding because of he's notched those goals from centre half. But I think everyone deserves a slap on the back. I think it's been a great start, and QPR look good. I have to say they look really strong, and they got character. That's twice now. The Middlesbrough game, 2-1 down, 10 men, come back and win. And on Saturday, you know, could easily have fallen apart because Barnsley had a great game for an away team, and they came back and nicked the draw for a 2-2. So the character's there, the players are there, and like I said, you know, fair play, and the crowd's right behind them, and that's really important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of positivity around the club for certain at the moment. I mean, Kev's already touched on it there about the transfer window. Obviously, we're coming up sort of just over a week to go now. We know QPR are potentially looking at one more signing, and it appears that signing could well be a striker, as Kev alluded to there. Ian, my question to you is, do they need one? Do they need to bring in a striker before the end of the window if they're going to push for playoffs and promotion? Is that really important that they do that?
I think what Kev said absolutely spot on. Since Bright Samuel left, they haven't really had that out and out pace in an attacking format situation. And Adoma did well when he came on, to be fair to him, and you know, beat his man, bit of pay, change of formation. Just sort of alluding back to the Barnsley game, he kind of, I wouldn't say he got lucky, Warburton, but I mean, he obviously picked the wrong team, and he made those changes, and then Device going off injured, he had to bring on Jimmy Dunn, which meant he had to keep Austin on for the rest of the game. He said afterwards, you know, Austin, you know, he's only played 190 minutes since he come back. That was against Brentford last year, so he had to keep him on for the 90. And he pops up, and although he didn't have a great game, Charlie, I don't think anyone else on the pitch could have scored that goal that he scored right at the end there. Just the movement and, you know, the calmness with the finish. So he kind of, in some ways, he kind of got a little bit fortunate. But I mean, it's not his game. Balls over the top. That was never his game when he was here 6 years ago. You know, they need something. I know that they're interested in Andre Gray at Watford. Has had his moments in the past. I mean, does he still have? Is he express pace quick, Kev? I don't know. Is he?
The only problem, I've watched Andre Gray a couple of times. Not last season because of the COVID, but the year before, when they Watford in the Premiership. I was at a few games at Watford, and he looked well off it. But that doesn't mean he could come back and be on it because Warburton has been his manager in the past at Brentford. So I just sometimes you see the players dropping down. They've earned a lot of money. Has he still got the hunger, you know, to come to another club and work as hard as what he did when he was at Brentford all those years ago? So it's a tough one. I mean, you know, the obvious one I think everyone would want who can do it is Nahki Wells. He's a bit of a fan's favourite. He can come straight into the team, can't he? There's no settling in. And then there's another one I've heard been mentioned is Aaron Connolly of Brighton. Whether Warburton is looking at him, but he's certainly someone who will run and stretch the defenders. So, I mean, it's a difficult one. Who would you choose? I mean, Andre Gray is talked about a lot, but I'm just not too sure whether he's got the hunger. But he might surprise me. He might surprise us all.
On the Sunday Mirror are reporting that Bristol City are willing to listen to offers for Nahki Wells, which, you know, if that is someone QPR interested, obviously positive news. I mean, Ben, what do you think about the need for a striker? Is that something that you'd be keen on?
I think it all comes back to a question that I've been sort of asking really for the last sort of half season, really, is what formation do they want to play? I.e., how many strikers? At the moment, it looks like the preferred formation is one main striker and players playing off him, like Willock and Chair, which is working fine, as we've seen. I think you've always got to have the option of playing two out-and-out strikers together, depending on circumstances in the game. Because for me, if you're looking at bringing in another striker, you've got to look at, is that going to be a player who can effectively be content with being third choice sometimes? And I would suggest that someone at the stage of their career, like Andre Gray, Nahki Wells, you know, you would presume they want to be playing regularly. And I would say, as it stands, unless there's an injury, you know, to Austin or to Dykes, then, you know, they're not going to be playing all that regularly. So for me, I mean, Kev mentioned Connolly as well as a possible signing. And for me, someone a bit younger, a bit hungrier, perhaps, at a different stage of their career looks a better option to me. I mean, I think we're all, you know, there's often a myth, certainly among the media, that signing players is always good no matter what. And sometimes you just have to analyse it a bit more closely, I think, and look at what does the team need and what does a player need at a particular stage of their career. And for that reason, I would be sceptical about Andre Gray or Nahki Wells. And I think someone, who's a bit earlier in their career, and certainly someone who's got pace who can run in behind, because as everyone's agreed, that is something that is missing. For me, that is probably a better option, and maybe it's someone on a loan rather than a permanent move as well. But I think there's all those questions really, and you've just got to look at what is the setup, and if you bring someone in, how often are you looking for them to play or to start?
Yeah, I think you make a good point, because Nahki Wells or Andre Gray isn't going to come to QPR to sit on the bench, are they? They're at that point in their careers where they need to be playing week in, week out and regularly. And it's interesting you touch on the system there. I mean, it's a funny one, because we didn't really see Warburton use that 3 or 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it, at all before last season, halfway through, when he switched it, and it obviously worked wonders. But it now seems he's gone completely the other way, and he's absolutely committed to playing that 3 at the back system. Because, I mean, I asked him sort of after the game about the choice of system against Barnsley and whether that sort of played a part in the start, and his kind of reaction was that it's the usual system they play, and he was obviously willing to put George Thomas into a role that, let's be honest, he didn't suit him, didn't play well in, just so he could continue to play that system. And obviously he moved Kakai over to the weaker side as well, so he's obviously absolutely committed to playing that this season. And yeah, I think it probably will depend a lot on whether he goes with the 2 strikers. Obviously we saw Dykes and Austin partner each other a lot up front this season, but I think on current form you really have to play Chair and Willock, so maybe he will go with one. Kev, just coming back to the Andre Gray, I mean, you sort of said you were a bit unsure there, but is they the type of player they want? Because he's sort of made his career off those runs in behind and stretching defences. Even when he's not scoring goals, he's kind of been effective that way. And is there sort of a possibility, if he came in, that he could play in one of those Chair and Willock roles? No, he has to play up front.
He's not that type of player. His strengths are pace and power, running in behind and chasing after stuff. So we don't need another Chair or Willock, because they're playing really well. They're in the season, they played really well. They come and get the ball to feet and twist and turn and create, and try and slide little balls in or take people on the edge of the box and get shots off. And they're good at that, very good at that. And so we don't need that type of player. Like, I mean, I would, if we hadn't made that sub with Jimmy Dunn coming on for De Vries, if I get that right. I don't know how to say his name properly, but I think it's right. I was saying to my boy, he was saying to me, "Will Kelman come on?" And I was like, "I hope so, because I want to see him. I haven't seen him play." So if we get another striker in, where does that leave Kelman? Now, I think Kelman then needs to go somewhere to a League One or League Two, go on loan and get a season in, because then your fourth choice. But whether the manager might think I still might need him because of injuries, but for Kelman, I think he needs a stage where he needs to play regular every Saturday, Tuesday in the league, and then next season we'll see what he's like. But we do really. I mean, Dykes can do that running in behind, but he wasn't there, but we do need someone. And Andre Gray, obviously, he's not going to play at Watford, but then it all comes down to negotiations with Watford. I mean, how much money is he on? How much QPR are willing to pay, etc., etc.
Would you be tempted?
I think he would be a loan. Whoever they get, I don't think they're going to sign anyone permanently. I think.
I think Andre Gray will be a loan, but I don't know how long he's got left in his contract, but they'll have to come to a compromise, a deal where QPR pay a certain amount of his wages, and Watford might say, no, we want more. We'll see. I don't know if it comes to that. But that's the sort of the negotiations that go on behind the scenes when you're taking a loan player from a Premiership club, where he might be on X amount and they want X amount, and we pay the rest.
Would you be tempted to go for someone else then, Kev, other than Gray?
Well, no. The reason why Gray keeps coming up is, one, he's not playing, and two, he played under Warburton at Brentford. So
another player he knows well, obviously.
And will probably be wanting him because he knows and thinks he can get the best out of him, and that's pretty much it. So he'll be like the manager signing, and he fits the bill of what type of player QPR need, which is someone who will stretch the opposition. Because once you have someone stretching the opposition and they're running that way, then Chair and Willett can then come and get the ball to feet, and there's more space between the midfield and the defence.
Yeah.
Saturday they were so high up, the gap between their midfield and their defence, it was very tight, and we couldn't get hold of the ball.
I think you make a great point. It's almost more about that than the actual goal scoring, isn't it? Because I think Austin and Dykes seems to have fully turned the corner now. I mean, he looks, hopefully, touch wood, that he's put that horrible spell behind him, and he's going to be consistently scoring goals now. And I think Austin will as well. So it's almost about that, isn't it? More than the goal scoring. It's just needing someone that has pace, that can run in behind. Because like you said, that game against Barnsley, we saw how important having someone like that is, and I don't really think they've got it at the moment.
No, and I don't know, but Ian, I haven't seen Kelman play. I'm not sure he's that type of player, is he?
To be honest, it's a very small sample size of what I've seen him. It's been like 5 minutes spurts here and there. The thing that's really caught it for me is his first touch. He's got a really good first touch, and he looks up and, he can pick a pass.
What I've seen, he's got awareness and link it.
But I mean, he might get a chance to prove a point against Oxford on Tuesday. Yeah. So if he plays in that, it might actually be you don't need anyone. Look at me, I can do it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, what do you think, Ian? What are your thoughts on Andre Gray? Is he someone they should go for?
I'm a bit jury's out, to be honest. I kind of agree with what Ben says. How old is he now? What's he earning? What's he kind of motivation? Is he still got it? Does he still want it? When's the last time he played? Is he match fit? Because you almost need someone to hit the ground running. 5
goals in 30 games last season. Andre
Gray. I mean, it could be just a bad move for him. Like Charlie Austin didn't struggle at West Brom, but he's looked at different players since he's come back in terms of scoring goals. So it just could be the right environment for players. Say Warburton knows him, and when Warburton knows a player, he does seem to get the best out of them. For me, Andre, I don't know. Is the honest answer. I don't know whether he is the answer or not.
Is a striker with a bit of pace the answer though?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Everything Kev said is right. They need pace up front. They do. Whether Andre Gray is the right man to do it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, what obviously the transfer windows are in there. It seems like they're only going to get one guy, and I wouldn't expect a flurry of activity between now and the end of the window. But what do you think? Do they need anything else? Would you, in an ideal world, would you like to see them get anyone else in?
I was just going to say, Dan, I think it's quite interesting that for the first time in a long while, you kind of come to the end of the transfer window at QPR, and perhaps the bigger concern is making sure you hang on to players rather than who might be coming in.
Yeah.
And I think that is, it will kind of go down as an achievement or a sense of relief if there are not big offers for Rob Dickie, big offers for Dieng, possibly even one or two others. And that's a good thing, because it's the first time in a long while, I think, that you've actually had that situation where other clubs potentially might be sniffing around QPR players. But to answer your question, the answer for me is no. They have covered all bases, I think, with some very sensible recruitment over the summer. There are no obvious weaknesses aside from what we've discussed, I think. So unless someone was to come in with an offer you can't refuse for one of your big names, and therefore you need to find a replacement, then the answer absolutely is no. You should be happy with what you've got, because so far it's going very well. And just briefly, Dan, to pick up on something you mentioned before about George Thomas, and I do think, we've talked about the change of formation, and I do feel sorry for him in a sense that if you look back when he signed for QPR, Mark Warburton's preferred formation was with, if you like, the three players behind the striker, two of them wide and one central. And the feeling was, well, Thomas can fit into any one of those. And now he's in a situation with the system they're playing where there's maybe only one or perhaps two players up for grabs. And, Chris Willock and Ilias Chair are not going to get dropped in favour of him, with all due respect. So he's kind of seen avenues closed off, and so you can see why they felt, let's give him a try at wing back and see what he can do. But I think it's got to be a difficult situation that for a player when you come into a club and you're expecting one sort of style of play, and then that changes, and suddenly, you haven't got many options to get in the team all of a sudden.
Yeah, it does look hard to fit him in all of a sudden, doesn't it? Which is a tough one for him. I think it's a tricky one in terms of a signings. I think for me personally, ideally, I'd like to see a couple come in. I think they could do with like two more faces. I mean, it's tough because I think the injury, it's basically a crisis at the moment. The amount of injuries they've got has made it worse. And we know Warburton likes to work with a small squad, but I was thinking, do they need a wing back? But then you kind of look at it, and all the injuries, or most of the injuries at the moment, seem to be in that wing back position. So it just seems like they've been hit hard in one area, which is a bit unfortunate. So maybe they're okay there. But I think, Sam Field, I know I've touched on this before and you guys didn't agree with me, but Sam Field's out for a while. Not sure what's going on with Luke Amos when he's going to be back. Don't know if they need another body in the midfield area. What do you think, Kev? Do they need anything else apart from a pacey striker?
How much money have they got?
Yeah, this is an ideal world, obviously.
How much money? But is it FFP this year? I don't know. Will they have to? If they do, will they have to maybe let George Thomas go or someone else go to free up some money, or Todd Kane or Hamlin, just to free up money to bring others in? Because, like you just said, we've got problems at the wing back. We've got two wing backs that hasn't even got a number. So. Do you know what I mean? We are covered in that area, but they've just fallen out of the pecking order. So they haven't even got a number. Midfield, yeah. Well, I think we're okay in midfield. You got Dominic Ball, Johansson, Dazelle. Dazelle didn't have a great game because and I have to give credit to Barnsley. They pressed. Every time he got the ball, they were on him, and he was a little bit lackadaisical. He should have
probably not had many tougher games than that, has he?
So they came on top of him and closed him down very quickly, and he needed to move the ball quicker, and he didn't. And regarding getting taken off, I felt sorry for both of those lads because, I've been taken off at half time, never before half time. I've been taken off at half time, and I'm raging. Now, these are young lads, so they might sort of take it a little bit better. You're raging. You want to end up chinning the manager for doing it when it happens, and that's at half time. So to be doing that after just over 30 minutes in front of the TV cameras, as I see them coming off, I was like, you've got all your friends watching. It's a little bit embarrassing, and you feel like everyone's watching you, and it's like I felt sorry for the lads. But they're young lads. Dazell's a young lad. He'll come back again. But I think regarding players, I think a striker, and it's only because I think they need a striker for an option for when we do come up against teams who are going to press us high. We need that option of someone who's going to run in behind. Not necessarily we are desperate, but if the manager's like on the bench and you're looking around, I say, I need someone to run in behind, and you've got someone, you put him on. And we haven't got that option at the moment.
Absolutely.
Really is for me, is the key, a quick striker. And then I think we're covered all bases, really. Yeah,
definitely. And all right, we'll move on to some predictions. And obviously, we've got a couple of games coming up. We've got Oxford, first QPR in the Carabao Cup, and then they've got Coventry at home on Saturday. Kev, I imagine they'll make a few changes for the Oxford game, won't they? Rest a few players, especially with the injuries. But what are you thinking about that one? And then, probably more importantly, what are you saying about the Coventry game on the weekend?
I think they'll make a few changes. I'm really looking forward. I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to see. I want to see Kelman play. I hope he gets a start and have a good look at him. Oxford will come, obviously. QPR league above will want to come and win. Want to show what they got. You know, the teams lower always want to show the team above them, look, we're just as good as you. So it's going to be they're pretty good, Oxford. There's going to be a tight game. I'm going to go QPR to win 2-1, and then am I doing the Coventry game?
Yeah, go for Coventry as well, yeah.
The Coventry game's more important, really. So I think they'll rest a few tomorrow. The Coventry game, this is a very good opportunity to pick up 3 points. I'm not dismissing Coventry as not very good or that I don't really know much about them, but very good opportunity to pick up 3 points, and then you got 2 weeks off. So the manager will be saying to them, look, this last game against Coventry, come on, let's put it right in. We'll get 3 points, and then you can have a few days off and chill out and rest, and we'll go again in 2 weeks. I'm going to go 2-1 again, Coventry. To QPR 2, Coventry 1. QPR 2, Oxford 1.
I thought you was going against QPR then.
No, that's Ben's job.
We'll wait till we come to Ben. He can do that. Yeah, I mean, Coventry have started well, to be fair. I mean, they've got a couple of wins, beat Reading, and they beat Blackpool as well. It's tough for me to mention that one, but they did. They got a couple of wins. They're looking good. They got a really good player in Callum O'Hare. He looks really good. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up getting moved to the Premier League in a few years. It looks very good. But Ian, what are you thinking from these couple of games?
Well, Oxford have got a few injuries as well. I think they've got sort of 4 or 5 players that aren't available tomorrow. You know, I think they will rest players tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. Hopefully Sam McCullough comes into the side for his debut. Be interesting to see how he plays. I quite liked him when he was at Coventry last year. He looked a decent player. Hopefully Kelman gets a start as well, as Kev mentioned. See a bit more of him. I'm going to go QPR to win on penalties again.
Wow.
And Coventry, I think Coventry match up. Rangers should beat Coventry. They're playing nice football. They move it around. They like to play an expansive style, and that should probably suit Rangers. They absolutely wiped the floor of them last year. They've beaten 3-0, I think it was. Chris Willock kind of run right against them, and he's been really good this year, Chris Willock, and I expect him to kind of step up again against Coventry, and I'm gonna go 3-0 again, QPR.
Wow, he's been superb, hasn't he? Go on, Ben, bring us back down to earth then.
Well, you know what, Kevin and Ian between them have already said 2 of the things I was going to say, which was another penalty shootout against Oxford. I think a draw, and like Ian, I'm going to say Rangers have got the knack now, so they'll go through on penalties. And I also fancy 2-1 Coventry for Rangers to win. That is, I think it will be a very tight game. Coventry side, I certainly expected to do better this year, and so far they have. I mean, one thing I would say is anyone going to that game, don't leave early, because Coventry have, I think 2 of those games you mentioned, they've scored winners in about the 98th minute. So hopefully this time,
like the 46th plus 30 against us or something like that by the end of the first half. And it was handball as well, just to get.
Well, sorry to bring that up yet again. Yeah, I mean, I was going to focus on the one against Reading, but anyway, hopefully they won't be scoring the late winner this time. But I think it will be a tight game, and Rangers will win that 2-1. I think, as Kevin said, that they will want to certainly go into the international break with 3 points. And of course, let's not forget, although it's been a very positive start to the season, they haven't actually won a home game as yet. So you want to do that. And yeah, I think Coventry will be the first home win.
Yeah, important to get off the mark at home, certainly. I'm fancying a couple of wins for this as well. I think maybe 1-0 against Oxford in the Cup. They've got a few injuries, Ian. As Ian said, I think that could work in QPR's favour, and I still expect them to name a few. I think maybe Willock or Chair, one of them might play. Or I think they'd probably go with one of them. I think that might be enough. And then, Coventry, they've had a good start, but I think QPR probably just have enough to beat him. I'll go 2-0 for that one. I reckon. Good couple of wins there. Well, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do and leave a like on the video. And we'll be back again soon.